Welcome to Show Studios Fashion Radio, the podcast and video series exploring the remarkable relationship between fashion and music. Every week, I'll be joined by fashion's biggest names and the talent of tomorrow as they share their 10 life-defining tunes and the stories behind them. I'm your host, DJ Fat Tony, and today I'm joined by two of today's most exciting names in fashion. This duo has been making waves in Milan with their provocative designs inspired by queer culture, raves and punks. They're masters at merging Italian craftsmanship with London's countercultures to create a wardrobe that continually challenges conventions. I'm talking about none other than Jordan Bowen and Luca Marchetto. Thank you for coming today. I've known you so many years. How many years have I known you?
Since I was 16, I'm so 20, nearly 25 years.
That's crazy, isn't it? And I didn't know you in the drag years. You used to do drag. Did you know that?
No.
Okay, I'll just a bit on my phone.
I did, yeah.
So yeah, thanks you guys for coming. I think it's a real pleasure having you here because for me, there's something really exciting about you. You're really authentic, and I hate that fucking word, but you really are. There's a real a narrative to a lot of other designers that kind of okay, we have to tick boxes for this reason because that's got to sell. But with you guys,
when we started, I think even before we did JORDANLUCA, we did a couple of projects, and I think we tried to do what we thought we should do, and it just didn't work. We kind of tried to keep up with what we thought we should be doing, what we thought we should be designing. Like you say, ticking boxes. It just didn't work. And I think when we started JORDANLUCA, we just went back to the drawing board, went back to who we were when we met. You know, what that spark was what that magic was, and went completely back to that. And that's what JORDANLUCA is about.
You know, your last show, I watched the last show, and I was like, oh, silver balloons. And it was, the whole theory of it was just brilliant. And the people that you had walking in it, just having Andreas walking and stuff like that, and the whole punk ethos was really cool.
No, absolutely. I think that it's it's true. Every time we start a collection, it's very sincere, and we always start from how we feel and, our experiences and how we perceive the world. And I always say to Jordan that we're a bit like Marmite, you know what I mean? When you love us and you hate us, which I think is a very good position.
It's an amazing platform to have.
Yes, and it's when we write the press release and all this stuff, we go very deep in feelings and things like that. And, it's has been good. And, the last show, I think we've never been as sincere as that. We went very British and Mohawk and, Andreas and punk and...
I think the more we go on with, we're kind of digging in more to who we are. Like I said before, we're digging into who we are.
Absolutely.
And it kind of keeps that amplifying. And the way that we become much more self-referential every time. And I think we're starting from ultimately how we feel is the starting point for the collection. Of course, music will come into that, but how we're feeling, not what we're looking at, not really what we're looking at in terms of art and all these other things. We're just thinking we're really starting from a feelings point of view.
I think there's a real honesty to you too, whether that shines through in what you do, and the end product is a really honest product. Do you go and say it's not contrived? It's not okay, everyone else is doing patches this season, let's do patches. Everybody else is doing day glow. All the drag queens are back. It's got none of that to it. It's just got a real honesty of okay, this is where we're at and this is what we want to put out there.
But it's funny because when I go, for example, it's Freeze Week. I try every season. I try to go to Freeze, and I always come back home and I say to Jordan, it was much more interesting the journey and the Arneson and City Line. To go there than the actual Freeze, because this is exactly the place where for me there is zero inspiration. I mean, that's how it works. You know what I mean? It's I need to look at people, and that's the reason why I moved to London. I'm looking at people, and that's the best.
With things like Freeze, for instance, the most shocking thing about it is a banana sellotaped to a wall. And when that's in every paper and that's the controversial side of it, fuck off. You don't need to go to Freeze. You know what I mean? Art's everywhere. As we know, art is everywhere.
The thing is also visually, I think we're so bored of seeing stuff, and there's nothing I haven't seen at this point. We're so inundated with images all the time. There's you see so much stuff. There's so much amazing stuff, and in the end, it just becomes wallpaper. So I think for us, the inspiration has to go back to something that you can't really see. You can't really see. It kind of is intangible, and it's a way that we feel.
Well, it's if we look at the greats like Vivian, and we look at all of these people that have taken stuff from the past and remodernized it and reinvented it in a way that puts their own stamp on it. There's something really magical about that. But it's when someone takes, someone says, for instance, someone has a shit on a canvas and the world is in uproar, and 6 years later someone else does it, but in a different shape. You get what I mean? And then it's kind of like, okay, that's been done. There's nothing original about that. But they want to be the original. It's the same with music, which is why we're here. You know, taking samples from old house tracks.
I mean, turning all of that. And the other one is turning everything into like a breathy cover for Tampax ad or something. Tampax ad.
Right. What do you listen to lift your mood, you two?
So I say that I listen to Lascia che io pianga from Rinaldo because it's the most sad song I can possibly know. Because when I'm sad, I need to listen to sad music.
No.
Because, sad music makes me feel more happy then.
Is it your go-to track of like when you get home and you're like, I've had a really bad day?
Oh my God, it's my decadence track that, like I can have a bath with it.
The bath, isn't it? The bath.
Oh my God, the bath is very decadent.
Don't have baths in Italy.
We don't have baths.
They don't have baths in Italy.
Well, yeah, but all like here. So it's like, it's my decadent place to go, and, I love it.
What about you? Is it you both? I mean,
thinking about this.
Because there's two of you, and this is the first time we've had two people on here. It's like, dodgy couple looking for a third. On studio.
Never done that.
So it's a different dynamic when there's two people answering the same question. Do you have the same musical taste?
No, we don't. It's quite different. It is quite different. Obviously, like the common denominators are the obvious ones, and it's like trashy pop. Obviously, it's the kind of go-to, the thing that we can both, the thing that I'll accept, or the thing that he'll accept. But otherwise, it's really quite different. And I was thinking about this. And I think that one of the songs that I always revert to, and it's on like 1,000 on my playlist, so on every single season. When we're kind of planning the collection, I always put together a playlist and try and forecast what I'm thinking, try and feel my way through. And Corporate Cannibal by Grace always comes up. I love it just because I think for me, when I was growing up, my mum used to play me Grace Jones, all the iconic Grace Jones songs, like Warm Leather was a cover, but I always remember that being played really loud at home. And that was part of my music education. Yeah. So, but I think what I love about Corporate Cannibal, I love it because it's really visceral. It's quite violent. And I think it's Grace. It's Grace at her most violent. And I love it. And I think, and then remember when she released it, she's about 60 years old when she released that record. What I love about Grace is that she hasn't got. When you look at like the big icons that we all know, like especially like the queer icons, big icons that we know and love. They've all got this massive back catalogue of music, and Grace hasn't. She hasn't got that much. She hasn't got that much music. She does it when she wants, and the music that she releases is like it's so iconic that it can just transcend.
The last album was Slaves to the River.
Yeah.
And I mean, how many years ago was that now? That's like 30 years ago. But what an album!
She hadn't released something for like 20 years before that.
Yeah, but what an album, right? It's like it's the same track. There's like 20 different versions.
Yeah, and it was also, of course, and it's sampled. We talked about samples earlier, but it's it's sampled. It all gets the My Jamaican Guy was sampled 1,000 times on like.
Have you read it? When you go to see Grace, there's not a moment during that performance that you think, oh God, should we go and get a beer or?
Yeah, it's like I believe she goes on the hula hoop again, but she is.
Oh, that hula! The hula. How many times have we seen that?
But it's iconic.
Okay, what is the most influential track of your childhoods?
For me, is anything Gigi D'Agostino. Because you have to think that I'm coming from Italy. I'm coming from a very weird spot. Weird spot from Italy, in the border with Austria. Yeah. It's a very hybrid place. We still don't understand if it looks like Italy or if it's like Austria. And, I remember going actually into those raves, this kind of Austria-contaminated raves in the middle of apple fields. And, and Gigi D'Agostino was the soundtrack of it all. And I used to wear buffalo shoes.
Didn't you used to wear buffalo shoes?
Buffalo shoes. And then with the kitchen foil, we used to do like dreadlocks and having starlights in the mouth. And, that was the best time of my life.
It's
lots of alcohol, lots of drugs, lots of sex in the back of the cars in the Amber fields. I think that was amazing.
So much has changed since then. Really
not as much as it. I just need a car now.
What about you?
I chose Soft Cell, Memorabilia. just because I love it. I mean, it's like
mind-blowing.
Also, because it's just such a long track. I think it's so self-indulgent to have such a long track. It's amazing. But I love it. I think it's really seedy. It's really seedy. It's really sexy.
Because when people think of soft soul, unless you know soft soul, you wouldn't think of them as sexy. Unless you were at that point in your life, at that era, you understand what the whole.
What was it like? I can ask you, what was it like the first time?
Amazing. You know, when Memorabilia came out, it really was just one of those things that like no one had really heard of before.
It's so subversive as well.
It was so unsexy looking at Mark, but listening to the music was so sexy. And then, you know, obviously after they went on to Sex Dwarf and all of those, all of the songs that they put out were always about sex clubs and always about the whole sex industry.
They're so aggressive and perverse. I love it so much.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I think especially now we're getting a bit older, you know, like older queer, it kind of resonates with me more, you know, like just how subversive it is.
Right, what song is currently on repeat in your studio?
It's a mix of things because we let people in the studio decide the music. So depending who is playing the day,
we lost control because we moved the studio and we lost control of this. We've got a little office now inside the studio. So we lost control of the music, and sometimes I'm in a meeting and I think, he's not again, and it's like. What's it like? It's like
so. Right now, I think the mood is like gay sauna. It's like
right. Yeah, go on.
Gay sauna.
What is that? Because I've never been to.
I don't know exactly. Like, that's what they told me. That sounds like mix like a weird version of something already weird in a loop that never ends.
Yeah.
It's a house loop.
And
purgatory house loop.
And some days so heavy gay sauna music that I always feel like.
So what is gay sauna music? Just for the audience, what is it? Like,
no, it's like something from.
It's quite Euro-y, like
Euro house.
Well, your track. What do you think?
What's on repeat? I think sometimes I'll change the music, and I'm thinking like, especially when we're kind of into like Raffaele Carrà. I don't know if people know her, but because of like normally people apart from out of Italy know her, but I think she's kind of transcended a little bit into Spain, into England. But I think we're looking at her a lot.
Yeah.
Just for a bit of reference.
So when you're doing, when you're planning a show, like you said before at the beginning, that when you're planning a collection, you start with the music, like you play stuff for like.
No, I start with the way that we feel. I start first from the way that we feel, what the mood is like, especially because like last season we'd come out at quite dark times. Quite a lot of my dad had died. Quite a lot of friends had died later last year, and I think there's something that happens between us as a couple, because of course, Jordan Luca is just a manifestation of our life together. Yeah. So there's something that kind of happens. Something that happens emotionally and spiritually that we have to kind of contend with. Mm-hmm. We have to kind of make friends with and find a space and a place to be able to as a starting point to start the collection.
But that's where the magic comes from.
And then I think what we'll do is...
That's why it's real. Yeah, that's why I said to you at the beginning, it's a really honest brand.
I don't believe...
That's where it comes from.
And the music always changes, isn't it? It's like we always start, me and Jordan, a playlist when we start our collection and we set up in the mood. But then we never choose the song that we start at the beginning, because I think for me a collection is like a journey. And, and I love that. And that's for me is the magic. That's why I love doing this job. Every time I start a collection, I never know how it's going to end up. I can't work with sketches at the beginning and try everything to make that jacket happen.
Yeah,
everything is like an accident that happened during the journey, and and I love that. I love the fact that I don't know what's going to happen. We just did the show, and now we need to start that all over again, and we need to find ideas and thinking, what shall we do next? How do we roll from that? And right now there is zero in our head, no idea, nothing. And sometimes it's very scary, but at the same time it's very exciting.
Do you get inspiration from, like you mentioned, like gay sauna music? Do you get inspiration from your surroundings? Like you could be on the tube and you see something and you see someone wearing something like a look.
That's the best inspiration.
That's it, right?
That is the inspiration. Yeah,
it's only inspiration. You know what I mean? It's like we never ever look at art. We never look at design. We never look at building. I will never start a collection from a gate or from a vase.
No.
Never. It's always about
our muse is a drug dealer in Lubbock Road.
Exactly. It's like going back to Buffalo Girl.
Yeah.
Vivian and Malcolm. That whole hobo look come from homeless people in the street. Do you get what I mean? In New York, and hence come the Witches collection and the Buffalo Girl collection and everything else that came from it. It all stemmed from one bag lady.
Well, like I said, we used to, because when I said we used to start from what we thought we should start from before we did Jordan-Luca. I think we had to really change how we work and how we think. And I think that a lot of that stuff is quite prescriptive. You know, you look at the collection, you do things. So that's really changed the way we work on our process.
But people have always been the main inspiration. That's what Jordan is saying. There is a drug dealer in Labo Grove, and it's a mess because you can really tell it was a fight. It was a woman screaming from underneath. I don't know what's happening.
My type of people.
Yeah. He's amazing. First, because he looks incredibly hot. You know, just like very skinny and
he's really emaciated and really skinny.
Yeah, you know, that kind of body I love.
Yeah, we love that chunky look. Hello, we had it for long enough. I had it for 28 years. Do you know what I mean? I was at my hottest when I had no teeth.
Talking about language, baby.
That's literally, I used to go leave my house with no teeth and walk down the road, like weighing 7 stone. I would pick up 3 men on the way to Sainsbury's. It was like, do you know what I mean?
Amazing. And we saw yesterday, he was wearing like a tracksuit in a pink python. Amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this guy is there in his house doing whatever he's doing, and he would never thought that me and him were studying it and storing it and bringing everything he's got to offer in a platform like Milan Fashion Week. And you know, you have all these people in Milan Fashion Week looking at your collection and writing things about when actually we were just thinking about that drug dealer in Labo Grove.
But that's it. That's what I'm saying to you. That's the honesty of it. It's not like you're sitting down going, oh, they're doing this. Kim Jones is doing that. They're doing this. So therefore, we need to tick that box because that's what's selling this season. You're not doing that, and that's the magic of Jordan-Luca. Do you get what I'm saying to you? Because you're Jordan-Luca, and you should never ever lose that.
Well, I'm compelled to design from like I said, keep saying from a feelings perspective. And if someone makes me feel a certain way, then that's what it's all about for me.
Which is what music is also about. You know, that the ability to change how we feel.
It's so visceral.
Totally, 100%. Which takes us into the next question, which is, who would you love to dress? Who would you love to see head to toe in Jordan-Luca?
I think I always loved Sylvester. I know that comes up a lot, Sylvester, but I always loved what he represented. You know, he was transcended gender even before it was even a thing. I mean,
100%. As you used the word transcended, he didn't try to have this platform. He didn't give himself a label.
Yeah.
He didn't say, "Okay, I want to change the world." He changed the world.
And he was so sex as well.
Incredible, amazing. So, but anyone else on your list? Who would you love to dress?
No, Sylvester, I think, is the main one as well.
But he's not here anymore. What about now, living?
Billie Eilish.
Okay, there's a big difference there.
Yeah, sometimes
we haven't dressed her yet, but she's just like incredible. I love her vibe. You know, like, and I love what she stands for and the looks that she pulls, and she's so iconic, I think. Yeah, and the music as well. She's incredible.
Do you like Romy?
I love Romy,
yeah,
of course.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah, she comes up a lot as well.
Yeah.
It's another studio track that keeps coming up.
Well, he's not getting so many Romy.
No, Romy.
Romy, life played it against.
Come up a lot because she was used in Gucci. Like, okay, it's amazing.
I'm cool.
That's kind of such an iconic fashion. That's an iconic fashion moment, actually. That track.
Fashion moment, that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that.
Best, most important song you've heard in a catwalk show. This is one of my favourite questions. I say it every time.
That was easy.
Yeah, I think we're both on the same page on this one.
That was very easy.
Yeah.
Just like Baby Boy, Beyonce, 2004, Dior Couture. That moment that changed my life.
Did it really?
Yes. I was in Milan. I wanted to study veterinary. You know, I wanted to become a doctor. And here we are, the show start in the dark. And you see like lights on, Erin O'Connor in this whatever it is, gown, gold, Stephen Jones, hand machine and stuff like that. She started walking down with Baby Boy and she stopped. I catwalk, she does the Egyptian pose, and I was like, wow, that.
We should talk about Erin a little bit more actually while we're on the Erin on tip, because she really is the the forgotten one in so many levels.
She's been a bit overlooked, I think.
Yeah, she has, because You know, she doesn't have an ego.
I think she's got so much class because of that, to be honest.
That's what I mean. It gives her that certain edge.
I think she's got the edge, for sure.
You know, I see her all the time. When I do bump into her, she's exactly the same every time. Do you know what I mean? I saw her at the Fashion Awards, and we were all on the same page about that. But we won't go into the Fashion Awards for that.
But that whole show, actually, that whole show as well, because you've got... What else was in that show? There was...
Look like a Egyptian.
There was Candy Stanton in that show as well, in that show soundtrack. Amazing show soundtrack, by the way. And Bananarama wore like an Egyptian.
But it's very fascinating to see how the reaction of the Margiela show that just happened, you know, like those people are mind-blowing. But at the same time, I think it's like you say, John Galliano is a bit back, you know, because I was used to this amazing couture shows.
John,
that was like, you know, fashion was a different thing. Fashion was not like the ugly cool. It was just about beauty.
So I was a bit shocked, and I didn't really register for the first time or the second time how amazing it was and how iconic. But I had to keep rewatching it, and I'm thinking, wow, this is like. I mean, it is, and it's gone down now it's gone down in history, that show. But also about the soundtrack.
But for example, at the time,
Adele, Hometown Glory, I love that song. I mean, I've always wanted to teach that song as well, and I love that he used that.
It was the whole thing
really, really
such
special.
a beautiful thing. And it's like, you know, everyone that worked on it, you know, they had the models there for a week. Do you know?
Yeah.
A whole week.
For the movement.
Of doing movement. Of course. And it's just incredible.
So I used to work for Stephen Jones, and that was my first job at Fame Fashion. Actually, I was supposed to be there for a week or two. And I stayed there for 8 years, and of course I started doing hats and then in clothes and stuff, and then it kind of grew into something else. But I think it was obviously with Stephen the magic of Stephen, the magic is Stephen Jones, and we all know about that.
But Stephen did this podcast.
I know, yeah,
it's so good on it. So good.
But working for Stephen, of course, and making all the hats for the Galliano shows and the Dior shows, I'm thinking this is like, you know, it was so special. Especially I was so young at that point as well. But just seeing and to be part of it in that small way, just to be part of those shows, just to be able to touch these things, touch these moments that were like really magic.
And also different is the output as well of this show, because at the time, like for example the Egyptian collection, you know, that moment there were no social media either. No. And you know, and how did people perceive a fashion show was completely different. And you know, I remember, you know, we had to wait 2 days before it got uploaded on YouTube. And you know, and the only way to see the collection was to buy those thick magazines called collezioni, where they were printing. It was like a program where they were printing every look printed. That was the only way that you can actually look into the collection. Not like now there's straight available.
Oh, it's online. Everyone's watching it as it's happening. Everyone's already commented on it. Everyone's already judging.
Everyone's already judging it. I forgot as well.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I think it's really changed. It's really changed the way that you. Yeah, it's true. It's really changed because of course now you think because everything's happening live. We were talking about audience. Well, you film your audience entering, film your audience leaving. We were talking about this earlier. We'll go on to that in a minute, maybe. But it's completely changed the perception, especially of music, and what it feels, what the show feels like, what the show sounds like, and it's become so. I think music has become so much more. Not more or less important, but I think it's.
I think they go hand in hand in the show.
I think it's changed the perception of music and fashion. I think it's down. It's on a different.
Have you been to a show where the music's shit and you're just sitting there thinking, "What is this?" The music should start before people walk in. There should be a 122 BPM, which is the heart rate, for it to slowly build up.
Do you think so? It's funny enough because our first show in Milan, we extended Troy. Sinead O'Connor. Yeah, we used the whole track. I mean, we again, you know, we had this playlist. We had all these ideas, and I played Troy and Luca hadn't heard it before, and I played Troy to Luca, and I think. Something happened, and I think something happened within us. I think it was such an amazing moment to be able to use that track in its entirety and play it from the start to the beginning and just extend that out for the whole show. And the whole show was just Troy.
Yeah, because I remember sending the link, and like after 3 seconds, I texted him back. I said yes.
That's the magic of music, isn't it? That's
this one.
You know, there's certain tracks that you hear, and it makes your hair stand on end.
No, it did
because you're not listening to it; you're feeling it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And when with Troy, that's a track that you really feel. You don't listen to.
And the interesting thing about Troy is because you know you work with a producer to be able to extend it and all this stuff. Yeah. The timing is off for Troy. It's actually really out from section to section. It's really off, but there's a magic about it and a power.
There's a real edge to it.
There's an edge for sure.
Totally.
And, the season after, we were watching TV, and then randomly Lana Del Rey, Hope is a Dangerous Thing for a Woman Like Me to Have, came out, and we're like, oh my God, this is it. This is another one. And, the music that will happen in the show for us is really happening. It's we feel something. We're not kind of planning it. We're planning at the beginning, but that completely changed at the end. Like this time that we use Secretly of Skankanensi.
Yeah.
It's I would have never thought at the beginning of the collection that I would have used Skankanensi Secretly. But then during the journey of the collection, that was the song,
A lot of strong divas women going
Strong
on.
diva, a little bit of a thing.
Sinead, Lana, Skin.
And all our team as well, are women. And, I work for Vivian Westwood as well. I can only work with women. It's my...
She's up there.
I didn't have any boys. I didn't have any. When I was growing up, I didn't have any men or boys in my family at all. I come from a family of my grandma had 9 sisters. My grandma had 9 sisters. She had 3 daughters. I got 3 girl cousins. I didn't have any men around me at all.
Let's talk about your mum briefly, because she's been such a major influence on your life in so many ways, and she's such. We're talking about divas here. Your mum's a diva. Your mum has got that level of her. There's a real insanity to your mum that makes her magical. She's very, very fast thinking and very. There's a lot of complications within her that make her magical. Do you get what I mean?
It's all quite bonkers, yeah.
Oh yeah, she is bonkers, but that's what
on paper it's bonkers, but she's everyone's going to say, well, Mum really inspires me, but she's.
Oh no,
of course everyone says that, but there's something really special about there's something amazing about the way that she thinks. Now she's trained to be a psychotherapist.
It's incredible.
I never expected that. She's in her second year doing that, and she loves it. So
It's incredible.
I'm in awe of her, really, just the way that she thinks, because she's got a really brilliant, bonkers mind, and I love it.
The night I met Jordan, he just left his mom, and we were chatting about stuff, and he said, "Oh, just me with my mom to a sex club." And I was like, okay, okay, yeah.
We went to Hard On.
Oh, we went to Hard On.
We went to Hard On, yeah.
Well,
as you do.
And actually,
it's funny.
That whole
when we went to Hard On, it was really funny. It was really fun. We went to Hard On, and there was this. It was quite awkward because we weren't quite early, and then and there was this kind of circle. There was the circle around the edge of the club, and nobody really knew what to do. It was quite awkward. They're like naked, and we've got cock rings on, or like harnesses and stuff. Nobody really knew what to do. It was my mum in the middle just dancing. She started everyone a minute, and then there was this guy at the bar, and he was. What's he doing? And he was wanking off.
Yeah.
And she went like that. Excuse me, that's my son. Excuse me, young man, that's my son.
And you went Hard On.
And when you see picture of her when she was younger, and, she was like a pop punk.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And her picture is like inspiration moods picture. Completely different than my family, because my family were hippies.
Okay, best music video in terms of fashion. It's a good one.
Love is a Stranger, Eurythmics. Because, I love this country. I moved here 16 years ago, still love it. And, that's how I fetishize London. For me, it's like, that song is like, she's going into a car with this amazing fur coat, these amazing blonde, glamorous wigs, and she talks about love like an addiction, and, it's part of my life. And then, she read the weeks off, and she goes in a sweaty sex club to get...
No, they were in that video. They were in that video. I'm sure they were in that video. They had sunglasses on. They said sunglasses. And Marilyn was in it as well. He was in it as well.
And she's in the back of a taxi, a black cab, and you can see a bit of London going on and going to a dodgy place. And then she's wearing these amazing wigs, alien shaped wigs, and dressed in leather. And I always watch that video when we start a collection. Because that's for me sort of a starting point of things. She's wearing like something glamorous, but then something to leather, and then she's wearing a suit, a proper men's suit. So
I think Annie Lennox is another one of those ones that kind of been like overlooked as well, because people feared her. It's like Sinead, people feared Sinead.
I hate that expression, but too ahead of the time.
Yeah, really.
Because the thing is, when you've got no context, nobody knows where to place you. And yeah, we get contextualized because buyers have to and customers have to.
Of course, right.
And you have to get contextualized based on who you're aligned with. And I think when you haven't got anyone aligned next to you, nobody knows what to do with you. And it's amazing that.
Yeah, and that's why
she should be the first.
I mean, let's talk about it last night at the Grammys. She's the only one who's been outspoken on such a platform about world peace.
Absolutely.
You know, she used that platform last night with Sinead in the background, because that's something Sinead would have done, and took it to that level of doing Nothing Compares to You at the Grammys, and then used at the end to say what she needed to say in front of everyone. You know, in America.
Love it.
You know, it's good on her. She's got the balls that she needs, always has had. You know, it's Annie, isn't it? What about you?
I tried to smack my bitch up. I smack my bitch up, Prodigy. I mean, I'll talk about my mum here for a second, but she, I mean, I was talking about like my music education. There were some tracks. I was only 12 at the time, but there were some tracks that she'd be like, you know, I think by osmosis, by proxy, you just pick up what your parents are listening to. And my mum was a raver in the 80s and 90s. She was a raver, so I kind of picked up a lot of those references. But some tracks and some albums, she'd like, okay, stop the clock, sit down. We need to sit down. And she took me through the whole thing. So I remember when Smack My Bitch Up was released, the video was banned. Yeah, and it was. I remember watching it. I was really young, and she kept me up because she thought it was a good part of my education to watch the thing. I don't know why. To watch Smack My Bitch Up together. And we watched it together. It was on late at night, and there was a panel on TV about it, how bad it was, and how risque it was, and how disgusting it was as a video. But I think about what I love about it, maybe just I think again it's about, for me it's just more about a feeling. I think it's a good representation of London and the UK, especially at that time. But what I love about it, it's so aggressive. It's so aggressive and full on. You know, the lyrics and the video, and it's like, and it's eating a kebab and having a fight and going to a strip club. But of course, you've got the big reveal at the end, and it's this amazing woman. Again, we're talking about something that's really subversive. Right to the end point, you think, oh yeah, of course it's this man, and then he looks in the mirror and it's got this like really aggressive feminine energy. I think there's this kind of aggressive feminine energy is something that, I mean, it's like coming through as a bit of a theme, actually.
Funny, it's where we're going. And we Smack My Bitch Up. It was kind of like, oh, we can't deal with this, let's ban it. You know, they banned Frankie Goes to Hollywood, relax, come on. You know, what world are we living in? You know, what are we living in? It was probably a lot better then than it is now.
I think so.
On so many levels.
I think so. I think it would be banned again now.
Well, you know, at least we had the balls to ban things.
Yeah, it's true. It wouldn't even get through to get the funding to make videos now.
No.
It's such a shame. We've come completely back, I think, in terms of censorship.
You could sit here all day with a whole different podcast about where this world's at and how backward it is. You know, especially if you're thinking, thank God we got fashion and thank God we got music. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, there's the excitement, that's all we need.
To say something.
Okay, this question, describe what you're wearing. I'm not sure where this question came from. But
I was actually going to wear some glasses. I got bitten by my nan's shit. I had a fight with my nan's shit last night, and it bit me here. I was going to wear some.
Quite sexy.
I was going to wear some glasses.
It's sexy.
It's sexy to you know.
It's sexy to you was his nan's shit. So yeah.
So I'm just wearing bits from the new collection. Like a micro. Actually, I'm wearing a micro tee.
I love that.
He's a good boy.
He's a good boy. That's very cool.
I'm wearing black t-shirt and shorts.
With the word sauna on
it. Oh my God. It's all about sauna here.
There's a sauna theme.
We sat in a toilet. Sat in a toilet.
Sat in a toilet.
Yeah. We met in a toilet, actually. We met in a toilet. We met in joiners in a toilet. Joiners.
In the joiners. Didn't love the joiners.
Yeah. We met, and I was on a date with another guy that night.
You were on a date with another guy?
Yes. Yeah. And then at the end I met
Jordan. Be shocking.
And then I met Jordan at the end.
And did you dump the other guy and go?
Yeah, that was the thing. Yeah, it was so bad.
Have you seen him since?
No, but he's upset.
Could you imagine it might have been like Gary and Luca. Him making tracksuits.
Then I remember I went in the bathroom, I saw him, and was like, what the fuck? With this hot guy. And then I went back to the other guy and I said, sorry, I go back to the toilet. And I went to him and I say, give me your number now because I have to leave. And then he gave me the number. I forget the guy.
And that's the slut values.
Yeah. I said, sorry, I have to go home. I don't feel well. I don't the other guys. I never met you in Liverpool Street Station.
Wait, the toilet's there?
Heavy betting. Yeah, heavy betting. At the bus stop station. At the bus stop. But the funny thing is that I couldn't really speak and understand English at the time because it was nearly when I moved to London. I said to him, what do you do? And he said to me, he's a millionaire.
Millionaire.
So I went back home.
Thinking he was a millionaire.
Yes. What the fuck? I know that a millionaire make hats. And I went back to my flatmate, and she was always cooking. She was always cooking at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I was sitting in the kitchen looking at the ceiling. I said, Jordan, I met this guy. He's so hot. I feel like Carla Bruni, like I moved to this country. I met this hot millionaire. He's having an iPhone because I have an iPhone. He had the latest iPhone, and he lives in Notting Hill. I say,
oh my God!
I've done it.
When are you moving in?
I should have come from an estate though.
Yeah, exactly. That's what can't do
from an estate. Yeah.
3 weeks it lost the millionaire illusion.
So we
went on dates and we went on dates. We went on dates. So we went to the
museum to pay for everything.
Yeah.
No, but he said to me, I don't want to bring you home because we don't want to have sex straight away because then that can ruin the thing.
Yeah, the gay handshake. I was like, I've done enough gay handshakes in my life.
Yeah, 3 weeks. I never waited for so long, but
we broke up. We broke up for about 9 months. For me, it was over. It was done. I was like, I didn't understand what it was. I didn't understand.
You had no money, that's what it was.
Was a millionaire.
Okay. So there's no credit card.
Yeah, no. So the iPhone is on a contract, and it's a council flat, not in
It's not an estate, it's a fucking estate.
Yeah. That's how I learned.
No, I didn't know what it was. I didn't understand. I didn't really understand. I'd come from addiction, you know.
Yeah, I know.
I'd come from quite a heavy addiction, and I didn't understand really myself. It was like, well, right, it's a passage, and I didn't understand what was happening. I broke the relationship. I couldn't do it.
Well, you're not in a position to love yourself, and you can't love anyone.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't feel it. I couldn't receive it. It was horrible. And I think, and then we obviously stayed in touch, and I kind of worked stuff out. We worked stuff out, and then we came back, and we've been together now 12 years.
It's amazing. But you know when it's right.
Yeah, because it was amazing how we met. Then the first part of our relationship was so weird, and we just both agreed.
It was so awkward. Yeah, it was so awkward. I was not a millionaire, but not a billionaire. It was just.
I was just looking for that. But we didn't want to meet each other friends. We were not going out together. It was just about dating and sex. And
it was quite. I think it was quite a bit performative as well. Yeah. I think we were performing like a nice version of ourselves. Well, I was performing a nice version of myself.
That's a big one.
It didn't feel very real. It wasn't authentic. If I look back now, I think you don't really realise. I think they felt authentic at the time, but I didn't know. You don't know that you're lying until afterwards.
It's really funny
because they're not living a lie.
Right. Whose wardrobe would you raid? Of a musician, living or dead? I always hate that bit. Living or dead.
Living or dead. I mean,
who in your eyes had the best wardrobe or has the best?
Well, I kind of touched on it earlier. I mean, it's Sylvester for me.
Yeah.
No. It's like Sylvester for sure.
Both of you. I love that. Yeah. That's a simple answer for such.
Yeah. We talked about it earlier, but it's just there's a magic to him. Touched on it earlier, but I think I love it just because it kind of transcends gender before it was a thing. So is it or isn't it, or should I or shouldn't it? Should I or shouldn't I? And I think that's a bit of a principle that we brought into JORDANLUCA. Is like, is it for women or is it not for women, or does it really matter?
Yeah, who wears
does it really matter? Yeah. I mean, gender's a kind of construct anyway. But as designers, I think what is interesting is that going back to I think what we did is. We did menswear, women's wear, and then I think we had a moment where we were trying to kind of create this middle space in between. But honestly, I don't think there is one. I think you have to understand, physically, you have to understand the rules about menswear, women's wear, men's bodies, women's bodies, to create those extremes. And I think it's only through extremes that you get something like this. So you get chaos in the middle, and I think that's very much what JORDANLUCA is about. And I think that's, in many ways, what Sylvester represented for me.
Love this question. What song would you have at your funeral?
Common People, Fault.
Well, you've got no choice because you haven't got millionaires. So you have to common people ain't the word for it. Why?
I don't know, because I think like I love common people. I love these simple people, and I love, I love living in a council flat. I love my neighbors. I love what all these things represent. I love when the songs say and dance and drink and screw, because there's nothing else to do.
Yeah, it's true.
I always wanted to have this like.
But that's suburban England. That's suburban England, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's totally. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
In the suburbs, living in the suburbs.
Let's get pampas grass and start swinging.
If
you had pampas grass,
you don't know any of that.
Yeah, of course you don't. Funny that.
Funny though, yeah.
I'm waiting for the next collection, which is going to be by. You might as well just do swimwear. Yeah. So yours.
Mine is Tana Gardner. When you touch me, I just love it. I just think it's really camp. I think it's so long. It's almost it's kind of obnoxious, self-indulgent. It's like a 7-minute track or something. It just goes on and on. And actually, a lot of those disco tracks are really long and extended. But I love the fact that it starts kind of sultry and soft and wistful, and she's kind of talking about, she's talking about being loved, and then it's like a 3-minute intro, and then at 3 minutes it just kicks off. And I love that it's like a 8-minute track at a funeral. It's just like, so it would be so confusing. It would be so awkward, wouldn't it? I just love that.
Can you imagine? And then everyone's waiting for that curtain to close.
They never close. Always there.
We kind of already said this one. The last question was, what track have you thought of any track that kind of is going to represent next season's collection? The JORDANLUCA. No, he said that he's at the moment it's a blank canvas. Yeah. There is nothing.
It's too early for me. I need some time to cleanse my head after the last show.
Well, it was like a couple of weeks ago, so
Yeah, but that's the hard thing about it. It's like it's hard not for it. It's hard for fashion sometimes as a designer not to turn into a performance, because you've got, because it's like you've got a set amount of time. I've got to create a collection in the next 4 months, and especially from winter to summer, we got much tighter turnaround. So now it's the middle of winter, both really tired, a bit unwell, just trying to pick ourselves up and just trying to think about trying to immediately launch ourselves into next year, into next summer.
Does it happen when it happens?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I think Luca's quite industrious. Luca's like really like proper tourist. Head down, go to the studio every day, and I thank God, because I'm like Sagittarius, Sagittarius,
It's funny,
It's different.
Well, we're
on quite different wavelengths. But I think the good thing about that is that it just means that it doesn't matter. Luca's very much in like the school of thought that if it's wrong, it doesn't matter. You just need to start. You just need to do it. Doesn't matter that it's wrong. And each wrong or right thing is a springboard for the next thing, and then the process just starts. So that's going to start inevitably in the next week or two.
Do you think that Jordan's kind of your fire starter when it comes to a lot of things?
Luca?
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean,
for sure. I mean, I didn't really intend to go into fashion. Actually, I'm quite disenchanted with fashion. Less so than I used to be. I'm quite disenchanted with fashion, with the industry, with the whole thing. But there's something that I love about creating things for people, looking at humanity, sociology. I love that sociological part of fashion, and that's what brings me back all the time. But I think for me, I was quite happy doing hats, to be honest.
Yeah,
I was quite happy doing hats, and then Luca kind of pushed me to do more things, and I think there's this relationship. We both push each other, we both challenge each other, and create chaos. We're very different people. We like different things. We like different music. We're on quite different wavelengths, but we're kind of there's a chaos. There's a chaos that happens because of it, and I think that's what the vibe is. I need I'm an addict. I used to be an addict, and I love that chaos. Like Luca talked about common people.
Yeah.
But it's so Luca's taste is so British. It's become so British, and he loves England, fish and chips, all that stuff. He likes Marmite, all this. He likes like the Britishness, the institution of Britishness. And actually, the more time we spend together, the more time I spend going to Italy, I'm becoming much more Italian. It's interesting. We've kind of assimilated to each other, and we've kind of gone our own direction based on each other. But it's really interesting what's happening.
Well, thank God, and thank you. Thank you for coming on here today, and just keep doing what you're doing for our community and for the rest of the world. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.